bars. I'm just gonna change out the. Let's do this one.
Pull that.
And then the next one you don't think you need?
This is it for tonight.
Okay. This one. Okay.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all. Hi, hi, hi. My name's Angela Harmon, and I'm a co-founder of Chromatic Black.
And my name is Abini Bloodworth, and I'm a co-founder of Chromatic Black as well.
Thank you. You want to talk about Chromatic Black?
Chromatic Black is a collective of artists, activists across a spectrum of creative disciplines. Our vision is the reclamation of story as a public common. People say, what does that mean? And so what that means is that story has been privatized. So 99.9% of everything we consume is produced, created, distributed by white men. We hope to change that. Our mission is to disrupt the master narrative with good storytelling. Folks ask, what do you mean by disrupt the master narrative? And so we're informed by Toni Morrison and James Baldwin, and so we define the master narrative as structural violence in all of its contemporary mutations. So earth rage, gender inequity, anti-blackness, white supremacy. We can go on and on and on. We invite you to meditate and fill in the box yourself. But we believe that stories inform not only what we understand, what we believe, but how we behave in our practice. That is why story is so important. We come today because we want to celebrate and honor a really good storyteller.
Yes. We are also co-chairs and on the advisory board for the Morehouse College Human Rights Film Festival. So we have the honor and pleasure of watching a lot of the films that you all will be seeing throughout the week. And there was one film in particular that we just could not stop talking about. It felt relevant, it felt grounded in authenticity, it felt innovative, it felt futurist. And so we decided to award this film for kind of magnifying all of the things that Chromatic Black represents, and really amplify the voice of this particular artist. And that's what we stand for, and that's what we do. And so we want to give the Chromatic Black Award to one filmmaker. Can I get a drum roll from the audience, please? Thank you very much. To Ms. Clark Phillips for Sugar Brown. So if Clark is in the audience, we'd love to have her come up. Is she here? Okay, so we'll do this like the Oscars or one of those things. We'll gladly accept this award on her behalf. And please check out her film. And we've got lots of goodies for her too. So
Yes.
if anyone is interested in Chromatic Black, please visit our website at chromaticblack.org and find out more. We'd love to have more young people who are artists and artist activists. So thank you. Oh, but before we go, I think you all are here for a panel, right? Some people here for a panel conversation? Okay. So we want to introduce Mr. Joseph Grant, who's going to introduce the panel. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For everyone who is here for the first time, welcome. And those of you who have been here before, welcome back. I hope you guys have been having a great time. Yes? For those of you who've been here? Excellent. So we like to keep this going. We have a wonderful panel for you guys today, Making of a Maverick. And the panel, we'll bring them out one by one. The host of this panel will be David Wall Rice, PhD. He's a professor of psychology at Morehouse College with a program of study that places emphasis on the identity and personality theory. Akeem Broward is a social justice advocate and an agent of change. He's a Bronx native that works to honor the legacy of his brother, Khalif Broward, and his mother, Vanita Broward, by working to change laws, policy, and regulations that devastate poor communities impacted by mass incarceration and solitary confinement in the prison system. Dr. J. Alexander Martin, PhD. I didn't know it was Dr. J. Alexander Martin, PhD, but let's give it, he heads an empire built on originality, urban influence, and the industry-changing creativity. With many successful ventures in fashion industry, including iconic clothing line FUBU, For Us, By Us, serving as a co-founder and vice president. Today, his kingdom includes clothing lines, a nonprofit, a consulting firm, and most recently, the For Us, By Us network. And to round out our panel, the Keith David. He's a classically trained actor, Emmy Award-winning and Tony Award nominee. You recognize his faces. Well, do I need to finish then? The rest you guys know. I thought I'd read off his resume, but it seems like as soon as he walked out, I don't have to. But yes, you recognize him as a production on the Disney, Princess and the Frog, 21 Bridges, Chadwick Boseman, Will Packer, Night School with Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish owns Greenleaf, and most recently, Jordan Peele's last film, Nope. Look out for him in the new Netflix alongside Zoe Saldana in the upcoming limited series film, Scratch. Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much for being here and being in conversation with us. Our esteemed guests, thank you so much for being in panel with us. And of course, Abini and Angela of Chromatic Black. Did I say it right? Did I say it wrong again? Chromatic Black. We want to thank them for bringing us together. And of course, Kara Walker and her team for the Human Rights Film Festival that's here at Morehouse's campus. All right, so what we hope we're able to do is catch lightning in a bottle twice. We had the opportunity to talk for a little bit backstage about some intersecting issues that'll help to kind of elucidate some of the things that we're thinking about in terms of being a maverick. Of course, you all know that this panel is entitled Making the Maverick. And so I guess perfunctorily, I want to ask each of you all kind of how it is that you define a maverick. So just in any order, if you could go for there. We're gonna spin off and be in conversation, and then I'll ask some questions stemming from that. But anyone, if you want to just start off by defining what a maverick is to you.
I had to look it up and see exactly what that means. My experience of Maverick is a TV show in the 60s. But someone who thinks out of the box, defines themselves as not glued to the board of what everybody else thinks one should do and the way they should do it, well, okay, I can accept that. Okay. I can own that. I think that's what your God-given birthright is to be. I would have never given myself that name, but if someone were to call me that, I wouldn't be insulted, because I can, I see myself in that space. I can do that.
But it shouldn't be exclusive in your mind's eye. Everyone should have some
Well,
space.
everybody does, whether you like it or not, whether you own it or not, whether somebody tells you that or not, and I think that's part of the journey in life is you have to discover your own maverick. Yes. You have to discover that thing within yourself that is unique, and that, it kind of seems large and philosophical and almost out of reach when when I say that the world is in a different place because you are in it. Your particular uniqueness adds to my world. I don't know any of you, but the energy that we share right now makes a difference. If one of you were to leave, the energy would change. That is the difference that you are in the world. Now, what you do with that is something else. You can squander it. You can find other ways of using it. But you must. I mean, and when I say you must, you don't have to do anything. But I think it behooves you in your life to do that because, and I'm still looking for definitions of purpose. What is your purpose? What is my purpose? One of my purposes is to serve, and for me, that means to take and accept that which my Creator, who I'm not afraid to call God, has given me, and then run away with it or do something with it. God gives it to you, but then you got to do something with it.
So hold tight right there, Mr. David, because that's perfect. And I swear you remind us of the dean of our chapel, Dean Lawrence Edward Carter. You sound like him in very, very meaningful ways. And of course, as you're getting ready to go into this esoteric space, you all have to meet. You might be cousins or something like that. But I want to get to in a moment the mustness of it and what the responsibilities are that are attached to being a maverick. I do want to get to that. But Jay and Akeem, I want you to help us a little bit more with putting a finer point on what being a maverick is from your lived experience. You know, what is being a maverick to either of you?
So I look at it like this. Everyone has obstacles. Everyone has problems. But it's that person that's a maverick that never looks at that as a problem or an obstacle at all. They look at it as an opportunity. And I say that to say, as an entrepreneur, I must have been raised an entrepreneur. I don't know what happened. But I know what I am. And I guess a maverick knows who they are. I know that I can't hold the job. I have to be the job. And to take something from nothing or just a concept and take it to fruition, or take it from, in my case, a lot of people, some of you might not even know what FUBU is, but to take a company when there is no other companies out there in the business, maybe one and a half of urban space, and take that company and still be in business 30 years later and generate $6 billion in sales, and have 3 other partners, but concluding myself, and still be together. I think that's maverick. Now again, you may not be to walk the path that I walked, but you may walk the path in which you walked, and staying in your own lane and doing the things that you need to do and to achieve and to progress, to keep going. So then that person's a maverick. But as long as you keep it moving one step above, one step, and sometimes you're going to have setbacks, but a setback, again, it's not a setback, it's a setup. So if you think of that way, I think that no matter what, you'll be a maverick.
What do they say? The setback is a setup for the comeback, right?
Right.
So you said a lot of great stuff. I got stuck, and this just shows my short attention span, but you said these folks not everybody might know what FUBU is. You guys do know. Is there anybody who doesn't know what FUBU is? Okay, just don't raise your hand, because you're supposed to know. I say this in my classes too, right? Has anybody not read the autobiography of Malcolm X? Don't raise your hand. You're supposed to read that. But of course, you know, the idea is that FUBU really is, not to gas you or anything like that, but you know who you are, right? But it was more than a brand. It was the introduction of culture and the mainstreaming of culture in very, very important ways, right?
Well, culture has a few different levels. I mean, you have the music, you have fashion, and you have your jargon. I think with all those three putting together, it becomes what hip-hop or what culture is. At the time that we were starting stuff, there wasn't anything for us to wear. So that's what we did. And we put together something that I think was remarkable. I think that it's to the test of time. And I'm happy for it. And again, the title of this being a Maverick, I think that's what it is. And sometimes, as a humble person, you don't want to even say that.
Yeah.
Because once you give yourself that title of a Maverick, then you kind of lose your ability to be on edge and to keep going. So a lot of times you never want to really do that. That's just what I feel.
And let me know this, and Akeem, I want to get to you next, of course, but let me know this, if my memory serves, is that you were responsible for the capital that started the company.
Yes.
It was $5,000, is that right?
Primarily, yes. I was in the military. I went to school, got out of the military on a medical discharge, came out of school. I had $6,000 from the military that they gave me, and I gave Dame and John $5,000, and I said, I want to start a clothing line. Damon looked at me like I had 4 heads and 6 arms, and 30 years later, we have $6 billion in sales business.
Yeah, that's important.
But it's believing in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, why should someone? A lot of people, my partners on Shark Tank, and a lot of times people come to him to get money. But if it's not about you just coming to get somebody's money. It's not because if he gives you money, he owns you what you're doing, and that's not an entrepreneur. You want to start it so that you can have a bigger piece of pie, because he's going to be a shark. He's going to take 90% of your company. So what you want to do is you want to invest in yourself, keep it moving, get it to a point where people begging to give you money, and you can pick and choose versus needing them. You want people to need you.
Thank you. All right, Akeem, help us out. Let's put this fine point on it in terms of what a Maverick is in your estimation, your definition.
Well, I'm going to say both men over here just actually said it, and I vibe with both of them, and I want to say that mostly what I really wanted to say about a Maverick is everyone, as Brother David said, everyone's a Maverick, and I never considered myself a title because I'm fluent. I'm an engineer by trade, but now I'm finishing a PhD in sociology. I can master it all if I put myself to it. And so, and not just in an educational fashion, but starting a business. I'm going on my 5th year with a mental health organization. I'm a Maverick if someone tells me. That's just like Alexander the Great, who gave you that name? If you gave yourself that name, is that really genuine? So I considered myself a change maker. I'm not going to see something that's being done to my people and allow it to continue just because it's the norm. It's the socioeconomic status that kept me there. No, I'm going to make myself. And in making myself, if you decide my title is that of a CEO, that of a boss, that of a brother, that's my title.
So I wonder if we can leverage that, and I think that's so important and insightful, and obviously comes from your space of being sociologically aware and acute, right? Each of you all are change makers, and certainly that's tethered to who and how it is that some might define you as being a Maverick, right? You within theater and the arts and storytelling, you in terms of entrepreneurship, you in terms of being someone who stands for social justice and making change in an activist space and orientation. I'm curious if someone is calling you a Maverick, and I push back when we were originally having this conversation about making the Maverick and the title of it. I said, well, I see that, that makes sense, and they are. But I resonated more with what it is that you all are saying and the through line that is attached to, and I'm going to label it freedom work.
As you're speaking, there are two people that come to mind.
Yes.
Frederick Douglass and Muhammad Ali, who defined themselves and might have given themselves the title of maverick. I am the greatest. Now, I think it was the advent of self-promotion and what do you call free agency, and it was a grand marketing scheme. Whether he, in order to do that, you'd have to fight everyone. But you could look at around you and say, well, one of these guys can beat me. Mike Tyson found that out, didn't he? Somebody can beat me. But until they do, I am the greatest. And there's no one to dispute me. If you beg to differ, come on up here. How many people stepped up to the plate? Now, that part of that maverickness is that the guy that steps up when someone says, who up here is going to do that? The maverick is the guy that steps up there and do that, whether he wins or loses, but steps up to the challenge.
But I'm also curious around what that challenge is, because I think if we use Frederick Douglass, right, if we use Muhammad Ali specifically, we knew that Muhammad Ali used his sport and his bully pulpit to elucidate and bring education around the greatness of the diaspora. Mm-hmm. We know that Frederick Douglass, arguably the most photographed black man during his era, used his platform in his bully pulpit to project this dignity that is blackness. So I'm curious around how each of you all are connected to media, right? The platform of storytelling in important ways, and what your responsibilities are to pushing forward the important agenda of freedom for people who look like us.
I'm gonna interject with that because I think sometimes not everybody can carry that weight. It's hard. It's hard to carry that weight to be able to try to push someone else forward. So you kind of have to. It kind of goes back to Maverick too, just as well, because I feel like everyone is a king or a queen. So if you conduct yourself in a certain way, in a certain manner, we won't even have to have that question. If we would appreciate each other, appreciate things on a certain level, we would never have this question. So yes, we do. And if each one teach one, or each one would grab each other and stop, either if I'm grabbing you, you pulling back, or overweighing what I'm saying and as if I'm trying to be better than you per se, or whatever the problem is, if we stop doing that, again, we will never have that question.
The question being what?
The question, how do I say this? The question being the question that you asked in form of.
Because what I was saying,
and maybe I went in the wrong direction.
Yes, no, but
that's just how I see your question.
Sure, no, absolutely. What I was saying is that, how is it that you all attach yourself in meaningful ways to media spaces? And how is it that you assume your bully pulpit in order to push forward and to advance the diaspora? And what I heard you say is that, look, everybody shouldn't have that responsibility. Maybe not. What I would say, and this is what I say to my students in class, this is what I say to anybody who steps in this space that is Morehouse College, is that you do. So what I would suggest is, I would say, J. Alexander Martin, you do and you have. You know what I'm saying? And by even the tension and the pressing back, in saying, look, it's hard, everybody shouldn't have to do that. Well, people are built differently, and they're going to do their freedom work in different ways and through different expressions.
Totally. I just see in this time, in this climate, that a lot of people take that responsibility and take it wrong way. And now with the rise of social media, everyone has a point. Everyone has a point of view. So it gets dissected, it gets torn apart, it gets irregulated, it gets, I don't know how many words I can think of.
So
It gets disrespected. So everyone's point of view is to me, poisoning.
But if you're standing in your purpose, so let me ask this: what you all say, and I want to hear you, so I'm not trying to cut you off. Each one of you in defining yourselves or in suggesting your definition of maverick are standing very much in your purpose, right? And I think that you're right, especially with the rise of social media. We know that media is ubiquitous. I can pick up my phone. I have 50 full movies on my telephone, right? And that's not even talking about the music. So we know that everybody can attach themselves to media and everybody can have an opinion about it. I'm curious, and I think that in asking these questions, some of the responsibility that you all have assumed is defining yourselves by way of the purpose that you stand in. And if you stand on that square, then what it is that you're saying is not rhetorical or just for fun, right? It's something that is meaningful. So it has to do with finding and attaching yourself to that purpose. Akeem, I hope I didn't mess anything up. Help us out.
You're good. So look, it was a calling. First of all, there's a window of opportunity for the work that I do.
Yeah.
Excuse me. There's a window of opportunity, and when that window is open and that opportunity is there, it's either you're going to jump towards the occasion or you're going to let someone else do it because maybe that calling you resemble it, but you need, and some people do need a leader, because when you see it, then you can identify and say, I want to do that too. I want to fight for that too. Now, I took advantage of the opportunity because I said to myself, I'm tired. Tiredness drove me to being the advocate that I am.
Be specific about the opportunity for us, please.
And so the opportunity was actually given to me or to us because the sacrifice that was made. So the sacrifice begot the opportunity. So Khalif Browder, my youngest brother, endured something he did not have to, and what many black and brown people don't actually endure. They'll just do the cop-out, take a plea. Khalif said, no, I'm going to stand here and make sure that this system works for my...
Can you tell us that story? I don't want to take for granted that everybody knows Khalif Browder's story. And I know that you must have said it over and over again, but can you connect the dots for us, please?
Yeah. So, and one, it's not a burden on me. My brother took his life into a phase that needed to be heard, at least in his opinion. So I'm gonna share it. Khalif was a 16-year-old black young man from the Bronx. This is the poorest congressional district in America. And he was incarcerated. He was locked up on Rikers for a felonious charge, but at the same time, it's so frivolous. It was over a book bag. He was sent to Rikers Island as a 16-year-old young man for allegedly stealing a book bag. And in putting him on Rikers, it took 3 years for him to, for the courts to say that we held him too long. We don't even want to give him up just because we want to give him up. We want to give him back to the community because we can't actually technically hold him any longer according to the Constitution. And so they let him go, all charges dropped, but in those 3 years he suffered. He suffered. He didn't just sit in Rikers. He had to fight for his life. He was starved. He was beaten. They jumped him. And besides fighting the justice system, the quote-unquote justice system, he also had to fight for his life. And so 3 years of that, 2 years of solitary confinement, and when he came home, he was no longer the 16-year-old that we remembered him being when he first left. He was now a product of torture, torment.
The system.
I'm going to go a little further than saying the system. He was a product now of torture. You tortured me, I'm going to come out what we call gladiators. I'm a gladiator now. I learned how to fight. I got my first mustache on Rikers Island. I got my first experience of death on Rikers Island. And now I'm a different person. But that being said, Khalif came home after 3 years, and he continued to fight. Because typically people are awarded settlements after their time incarcerated wrongfully. And when they offer money, you take it and you move on with your life. And certainly a lot of us have done this. But Khalif said after the offer of XYZ amount, no need to say how much, but he kept on turning it down, and the government basically was like, hey, if we can't pay you to shut up, then we're going to have to shut you up. And that was unfortunate because my brother didn't deserve that, nor do a lot of people deserve what they receive, even if they did something wrong and get sent to jail or prison. You did something wrong does not mean I get to do it back to you. If you're here for rehabilitation and correction, then that's what you should get, not torture, abuse, and inevitably death.
So how do you step to that?
So sad.
I'm interested in how it is that you step to that, the courage that it takes for you and for your family to step to that and to understand that as an opportunity to push an agenda forward, to right in the name of your brother, in the name of your family member, to right set an injustice system, and to make more public, issues of mental health and things like that. How do you find the courage to do that and to stand on that square?
So in fact, they don't do just an injustice to the person that's in Rikers, because the family members, the mother, if you have a father in the household, the family, the community that knew of Khalif or a person like Khalif, they miss out on that person. And so you have to then realize this, and what I did was, it happened to me. And when it happened to me, I thought, man, it happened to me, and I could have stopped this so it didn't happen to my younger brother, but I moved on with my life and tried to be quote unquote normal. Wow. And so I saw that they did it to me. I was wrongfully incarcerated twice in my life, and I just tried to be normal, and then it happens to my brother. This is basically at the point where I snapped and decided, what's the point in having a job, a career, a degree, if I can't live or my family members can't live instead of just surviving? So I'm going to fight. And that fight took to many things, but I transitioned after I realized this isn't enough. Marching in the streets, I started Shut Down Rikers in New York, which is a grassroots organization where parents and family members could come together and gripe. Then we started Black Lives Matter in New York, and that's another march and protest. But then I started passing law. I realized that's not working entirely. It works in one way, but then I took it to going to precinct meetings and community board meetings, and then finding my voice led to me then passing legislation in New York where I wanted to stop solitary confinement. So you pass a bill for that, and hopefully they won't do it anymore. You pass a bill for stop putting kids in jail at 16 years old where it's meant for people who are adults. Yeah. And then you pass a bill for this and that, and then you realize, man, this is still not stopping them. What's next? So at this phase of my life and my being a maverick or a change maker, I decided storytelling, because we did the documentary and then we're telling stories. Like I told you before, I don't know who I told, but basically I co-wrote 13 and then wrote Khalif's story, and now we're writing the feature film for Khalif's movie. And storytelling has a power in a way that says Khalif will live even though he is not with us. And all of us here have the ability to live through, because you storytell with movie telling. right? Like putting yourself out there. You storytell with all the work that you're doing.
Hold on, man. Stay in your lane. You get ready to come on. I'm supposed to be connecting these guys. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. No, absolutely. And no, absolutely. And I want to thank you for sharing that with us, because I think it's so important for us to hear it. And it gives us a lot of latitude. You're connecting those dots and offering that through line offers us a lot of latitude in looking at the significance and the weight of storytelling and of meaning making. So, Mr. David, as a classically trained actor, right, as a thespian, can you talk to us about how it is that you have looked at the projects that you have assumed, and maybe it's different, you know, throughout the arc of your career, how it is that you've chosen projects and have breathe life into stories that need to be told, whether they seem frivolous or whether it is you're defining for us what the pyrotechnic flow is on Ice Cube's album, or whether it is that you are. I had said that it was interesting because when I found out I was going to be in conversation with the three of you all, it's kind of like, you know, you showed up everywhere. It was like everywhere in everything that I was doing, something showed up. I had told you that I was watching Roadhouse, an old 80s movie, and you popped up behind the bar or something like that. Can you tell us how it is that you see, and I'm going back to kind of this responsibility and this mustness around being a storyteller, so that we get the full scope of the diaspora that's put center, so that our humanness can be recognized in meaningful ways?
Let me answer that like this. As you were talking just now, it resonated back to the original question about what it is to be a maverick. What is our collective responsibility there? And what kept showing up for me is one of the, a value that has been compromised by social media is integrity. And that is your calling. That's my calling, to maintain your integrity. Now, I have found that there have been periods in my life when my integrity was somewhat expedient. So when it was, when it seemed to be good for me, okay, well, I try to stay more steadfast to a deeper integrity nowadays in my life. I think that is what, what your calling is, if you are artists of any sort. You have to be true to your own integrity, I know for myself, what that means is I chose very early in my life, there are parts that I will not play. In a public forum, I won't use this word, but let me say, I won't play black men who only serve as, especially some white person's idea of who black people are. If I can't find the humanity in this person, then I don't want to play him. I'm not just playing some, idea of what you think we are. I think that the human experience is as diverse as there are black people, as there are people. There's no field of endeavor, there's no experience that we haven't had. So why get locked into a bag that we're only this, only, relegated to that? And so, I used to have conversations with Roscoe Lee Brown, who was an extremely intelligent man, very articulate and literary. And he said he could have been a millionaire if he would have taken any part that was offered him. but he had some integrity. And he couldn't do the part if it didn't have some literary integrity. And ever since he said that, I feel a kind of responsibility to that. It's got to be, it's got to be in the writing. I try to eke the humanity off of the page, and I think I can sometimes pull a rabbit out of my hat. But for the most part, I'm not a magician, I'm an actor, I'm an artist. And if it's not on the page, most likely, if I'm in a play, a new play, and it's not on the page, and I have a period of rehearsal, there's a chance in the development that it can be put on the page. But I have that. Part of the difference in the media is in a movie, in a film situation, you don't usually have that much time to rehearse. And you don't always have the kind of input to make sure that that integrity that I'm talking about is going to be maintained and nurtured on the page. If it ain't there when you're reading it, more than likely it ain't gonna be there. But I have to fight for that. I have to look for that, and I have to fight for that.
Now, Jay, you know I'm coming to you. So as an entrepreneur, right, and as somebody who, there is a motivation to turn a dollar, can you talk to us about how it is that you've maintained your integrity? We were talking backstage, and I was polarizing experiences, right? And so I said, so we have this on one end, and I said, then we have, the side chicks of Charlotte, right? Who are the For Us By Us network, who take up a lot of real estate on that, that commercial space, right? And one of the things that I said, and this is when Jay stood up and he's like, hold on, what's this brother talking about? Hold on, man, wait a second.
I was in the other room at the time.
He said, wait a second. But I think it's so important, and what I said back there is the same thing that I'll say out here, is that it would be intellectually dishonest for us to be in this space that is Morehouse College and not to look at the interesting tensions that can exist. But we know that you're a man of integrity, so how is it that you are able to maintain that integrity and not compromise self?
I think,
or us in the process.
Yeah, it's really hard because it's the fashion business, it's the movie business. A lot of people look at things as the movie, and again, you have to turn a buck or you won't be in business. And I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about what your square was and where should I stand. And I think I just redeveloped my answer by saying that if I'm one of the 3 only black-owned networks, period, I think I'm in a pretty big square. So for me to be there I have the responsibility, yes, to create content that is going to be thought-provoking, it's going to be sometimes a little ratchet, but if it's going to be ratchet, at least let it not be totally trash. Because I still gotta wake up every morning and hear the blogs and hear people say, why did you do that? And would it be called, it's called For Us By Us, and I have to do something, I have to give what the people want. Now, we discussed back and forth about how if you see the same thing on another network, like i.e. a VH1 or whatever, you're not gonna say anything. But you see it from me, and then you have a problem. I have to deal with those demons every day. Do I really want that kind of stuff? No, I don't. But it's bringing the eyeballs to the awareness, it's bringing you to think about it and talk about it. It's a marketing ploy to get you to talk about it. And then when you get there, you see some other stuff and you go, oh, don't define me by that. Define me by my whole picture of my character, not define me by one show.
It just gets to be a slippery slope, because how many times have we seen, oh, I'm only going to do this this once. I'm only going to play this guy this once. You know, I think, you know, you think about, and I'm reaching a little bit, but you think of the character of Stepin Fetchit. Now, before they paired him with the white guy, he was the man. He was he was funny, and he was a big star. But the moment they put him with the white guy and gave the white guy the last word, then he became a pariah in the black community, doing the same thing. He was the same guy, but was no longer given the shot, and mostly because of the feelings behind the optics. Because it was the same. I mean, he told the same joke. I'm coming, right? You know, but when they threw it back to the white guy to say, "I see that. Come on now," it's no longer as funny because he doesn't have the upper hand. But he was, you know, I mean, does he stay with that character to make the money? Yes, if he doesn't make the money, he can't make the difference he wants to make in doing other things. But, you know, it's a very slippery slope.
And to that point, and Akeem, I want to get your point. To that point of being a slippery slope and that being a balance of power, Jay, that's a seat that you sit in, right? Is this position of being one of, did you say 3 or 4? Three black folk who own spaces that can share content. That's power. And so, yeah, I think we know that we were talking about, well, we could teach a whole class, right? Because we were talking about hegemony, we were talking about white supremacy and all this kind of stuff. We won't go all in there, but that idea of being in a powerful position is something that's significant and really does kind of attach oneself to this narrative label that we've been going through. Akeem, help us out.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, things transition. You're never the same person. And so I know my next transition is going to be something different. And if I'm trying to stay stagnant or stay the same thing, it's going to hurt me in the long run. I'm going to transition. So even in storytelling, when telling 13th, I looked at the population of people because we were protesting on the street a lot. And then 13th came out and people were mad, furious, actually, from what they were just educated about. And I'm getting calls like, yo, get your stuff and get to the streets, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, what did we do? Like, I wanted to educate. So then we told Kali's story in a way that I said, okay, we're going to educate and we're going to lay it out. And what I realized in my transition, now that we're doing this movie, I want to educate, but I also want to show victory. Because our communities can't keep on having sad stories.
I like this.
And those sad stories dictate if we're going to say, hey, I can't get to the streets, or, yo, my brother, my sister, like we're going to start, if we start telling stories in a different way, and that's what I'm transitioning into doing. Like, my story is changing in how I want to tell stories. I want to put power out there. I want to put victory out there so that we can come up under or come up over these sad stories. Because, yeah, there's nothing, you can't on the outskirts see Kali's story as a victory until you really see it like, oh, shoot, this is what came out of his sacrifice. He died, sad, yes, hurt my family, indeed, hurt the people that watched it. A fact. What came out of it?
I want to say this. I can't believe how quickly this time has passed, and I've been getting signals and whatnot. I think that it's so important. I think it's so important to recognize each of you. I want to thank each of you for being really vulnerable with us today, being honest with us. And Akeem, I really appreciate what you said in a closing remark, is that each of you all, in the responsibility that you have assumed in being change agents in your square, represent a win that we can all look to and represent models of success and of perseverance that we can look to. So I'm reframing this whole thing, right? Like I said I was going to in the beginning is, I want to thank each of you all for the freedom work that you're doing and for continuing to be dynamic and not stagnant and looking at how it is that we push each other forward for the win. So I want to thank each of you, Akeem, Jay, Mr. David. Thank you so much. And that's my time. Is somebody going to come up and close me out? All right. You all, thank you so much for being here as well. We appreciate it.
Any questions? Like, do we have time for questions? Yeah, I know y'all sat and listened to us. I want to hear from y'all.
You doing Q&A? Oh, cool.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, we can't say no to you, brother. So if you have questions, yeah, great. So go up here. And I won't get in the way. Let me scoot back a little bit.
Questions?
If you have questions, I think we have at least one mic. If you can come up here to the mic, that'd be great for us.
Here, take my mic. Oh, yeah, I need to answer.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for coming to Morehouse College. More generally, the Atlanta University Consortium. My name is Chris Isidoro Saldivar. I'm a student at Clark Atlanta University. I'm a filmmaker. Just thank you. I wanted to ask real quick, y'all really put a strong definition to the power of identity and the power of integrity. For me, I want to be able to tell stories that deal with social justice and being able to continue that and not just create stories that just push the agenda of a certain demographic. I will be doing this, but how can I want to continue doing what I'm doing in a very personal and, how could I say this? You were talking about flaunting and like Muhammad Ali, who you got to be the best, you got to create this identity, but I also want to be humble, and as a student a student that goes to an HBCU, nowadays, you have to always be flaunting. You always got to show that you're the best. So how should I approach that as someone who just wants to be real to my identity? Should I continue going down that path, or should I discover a way where I be the best I can be, but always putting it out there and selling that?
I just want to say real quick that you're doing that right now. You just got up here and told us everything you're doing. So I'm lost about your question because you're doing it. So don't let anybody else measure what you're doing. You measure what you're doing. If you feel there's a lack somewhere, you change it. You feel there's not a lack somewhere, oh well, you did it. You just sat up here and told us everything you're doing, all about how you want to do it. Thinking about how you want to do it, just do it.
And a different answer for that would be, what's your rubric for your success? As long as you reach your rubric for your success, you're going to reach your audience. Don't worry about what somebody else's audience is. Your audience, you're going to reach.
And I also feel like, what your journey and trajectory is between you and your God. And as long as you are true to that, the rest of this is just opinion. And everybody's got one.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So, you have to answer to yourself. I don't want to be cliche about it, but it's to thine own self be true. If you can answer that, for yourself. Am I doing this for the right reasons? And you have to be careful because the ego is not always your amigo. And sometimes it'll try to make you believe that that's who you are. But sometimes it's just there to keep you humble. Because the moment it tells you that you're better than anyone else, then you're in trouble. You're not any better than anybody else. You may have a better idea at this moment. Do it.
Good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Peace, brother.
Good, y'all good? Peace, peace, peace. Okay. First off, I want to say my name is Donnell Lee. I'm a full-time actor, and I'm trying to make it. Looking for opportunity everywhere. Just going through it as us actors, we do. So I just want to say thank y'all for everything y'all shared with us and all the advice that was being soaked in. Because what y'all said is not because of who y'all are, it's because it's very true and of y'all experience. So I just thank y'all for that. And I also wanted to say, I'm an actor, filmmaker, author, writer, and I'm working on something right now, and I want to know some advice. It don't have to be too much, but I just want the right type of answer so that you guys would be able to let me know the right steps, Even though I did all my research, I'm always open to and willing to learn. So whatever you guys have for me.
What's the question?
Okay. Just let y'all know. Okay, my question is, when it comes to looking for certain actors, right?
Looking for certain what?
Actors, artists. Looking for certain artists. I wanted to know what should I see? I know it's off of the story and everything else, but I wanted to know what's something that I should be looking for in the quality of.
Can I just interrupt a second?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you want a shortcut. I don't know if that really is your agenda, but it sounds like you want a magic formula to make you all of a sudden, be in it. And there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to be in it. It's important to study, to maintain the integrity to the artist that you want to be.
Okay.
If you're a filmmaker, then you study filmmaking. And you make your film based on the knowledge of your knowing how to make a film. If you want to be an actor in that film or an actor in any other film, you study acting so that you know what you're talking about. Because you're a good-looking young man, somebody's going to call you to the table. Can you stay at the table?
Ooh.
Do you have what it takes to stay at the table?
Yeah, there we go.
And if you do and you believe in yourself, then eventually you will get to do that which you say you want to do.
Okay.
But there's no magic formula. I can introduce you to 10 people, but so what?
Mm-hmm.
They meet people every day. What makes you so unique? If you really know who you are, that will be unique.
Yeah.
That's it, very good. Thank you. You're never supposed to give them the mic. You're never supposed to be able to hold them. All right, so let's get a question in 1 minute. Okay?
All right, my name is Carleon Outlaw, junior theater and performance major at Morehouse College from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My question was, as you're talking about integrity, purpose, and also keeping faith as you're moving and changing as a human, how do you keep that integrity and your focus on your purpose, as well as maintaining your mental health into the conversation?
Look, purpose is everything for me, and constant reminders of what that purpose is. Now, that purpose might shift based on what's happening in your movement, but I constantly have to remind myself why I'm here. The opportunity, that window that was opened, constantly reminds me that window is narrowing. How do I open it? How do I keep on going? How do I stay in here? Who am I doing this for? It's not for me only. I'm out of the scope of being incarcerated. A lot more. I'm 40 years old. And yet, the highest rate of incarceration is between 17 and 19. And so, it's for them. The work is for them. And I got a child on the way. So I'm now reminded again of I need this to happen. I need work and change to happen because I don't want it to happen to you or anyone that fits in that scope or my son. Constant reminder. Write it on your board. Give yourself a vision plan. Make yourself notes. Write a journal.
Next question, please.
Good evening. My name is Kanaji Blevins, a man of Morehouse from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm a filmmaker. I'm just asking a question is, how do you keep the perseverance, when you're hours in your work and you're kind of losing hope? I know this was a broad question, but what do you guys find is kind of, that puts the battery in your back to keep on going?
I have a problem. I do not know how to stop. I do not know how to give up. I have a problem. And that's all I keep saying to myself. I got a problem. I don't know how to stop. I don't care if 5 people tell me that's never gonna work. I don't care if I get a no. I don't care if it takes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It took me 13 years to build this television network that I have now. 13 years. I've been so much in debt of my own FUBU money, I didn't care because I'm going to make it work. Every day you wake up, you read your scripture, you say, I'm going to make it work. I'm gonna give you one idea. When you think of stuff, right, you have something, you think you're doing something, right? It's like a slingshot. You take the slingshot, it goes back, there's tension. That's all the shit, excuse my French, that's not working. And you're going back, and you're going back, and you're going back, and you keep going back, and you keep going back, and you think you're not going anywhere, but you're going somewhere. And then when that thing lets go, look how far you're gonna go. So I keep looking about how far I'm gonna go, not how far I'm going back.
Nice.
Those are all of our questions. Audience, I want to thank you for being here. Panelists, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Oh, you know what? Please take some time to reevaluate your mental health. Take constant breaks. Don't sit here and think that, look, I don't believe in the structured system where if you work hard, you're going to make it. Because we already know we have setbacks. There's redlining. So it's hard for you to get a house or own your own, whatever, your own property. There's setbacks. Doesn't mean it's going to set you up. But take some time, reevaluate yourself, and keep your mental health up there. Take frequent vacations or breaks. Get out of your community. Go visit another person's community. It'll also humble you. Because if you see how bad someone else has it, I'm not saying go to a destitute community. You might already be in one. But go to another community. Relax. Take away from your life and just see someone else's and protect your mental health.
Yeah, and I think that's extremely important. Traditionally, we in our community look askance at taking care of our mental health and looking to those sources and resources to look after ourselves mentally. We go to church, and sometimes that is not the only answer. Sometimes we need outside help. Don't be afraid to get it. It's between you and your therapist, between you and your God and your therapist. Tell your mama.
That's right.
But sometimes she don't have to know.
That's right.
Just go get the help that you think you need. If you have the thought that you think you need it, go get it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I mean, listen. The life you save could be your own.
Funny story. Sometimes, I'll take a walk, and I'll have my phone, and I'll sit and walk with my phone. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just talking about all the things I'm letting everything out. Because sometimes you just got to get it out of you. So even if you don't have the money for a therapist, have anybody you could talk to. Or you don't trust the person next to you because they're going to go tell your business. Tell yourself. Just walk somewhere, keep walking and talking. You might end up in another state, but depends on how far you're walking. But just get it out. Don't hold it inside. Just get it out.
But he just said something really important. If you keep walking and you let it out, you might wind up in another state, a state different than the one you started out in.
I love you guys. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you. God bless you.
Hey guys, before you go, Carlton Phillips is here. Carlton. Clark Phillips is here.
Yeah, where's Clark Phillips? Is Clark Phillips in the house? So as we kind of wrap out this panel and talk about, the making of a maverick, we see brilliance. We see somebody carving out their own path. We see a great storyteller. And we as Chromatic Black want to present you with this award for your wonderful, wonderful work in your film, Sugar Baby. Sorry, got it wrong. Said it wrong. Sugar Brown, sorry. But again, we talk about this idea of creating despite odds, despite all of these things. We wanted to grace you with this award, the Chromatic Black Award. Thank you so much. For your wonderful short film.
I just want to briefly just say thank you. I'm truly touched. Thank you to School of the Arts and always my cast and crew. Oh gosh, I wasn't expecting this today, and I'm so thankful. Also so thankful to be here. I've learned so much from our amazing panelists and the board members, and just other filmmakers. I've had the opportunity to connect, to inspire and be inspired, and honestly, just thank you all for being here. I'm just really touched. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Opportunities for you.
Of course. This was my first festival outside of North Carolina. And so I was just happy to come. I was like, oh, okay, I can go. And I apologize for my absence earlier because I had to get some food because I had to take some medication. So I was like, okay. And I came back and they were looking for you. I'm like, what? Like, you got nowhere? I was like, again, what?
We invite you ladies to head to the green room, which is straight through here. Yes.
Are we supposed to introduce you?
I didn't know what I chose her now.
Hold on. I'm so confused. We're supposed to introduce another film. We're supposed to be introducing another film. Maybe they do. Okay, if anyone is interested, which you all should be, we've got another film coming up, so please stay tuned, stay in, stay here. Our final film of the night, I believe, is called Let the Little Light Shine. So please stay tuned, stick around. There's plenty of time to mix and mingle, but thank you all. Okay.
روزانه 105 میلیون لیتر مصرف بنزین کشوره. 105 میلیون لیتر. چرا؟
من گفته بودم بهشون که هر که از در فرمانداری وارد شد داخل بزن.
الان نزن، بذار بیام جلو.
بنده در این قضیه سررشته ندارم.
مردم با تیر زدم. اینم یه غروب خیلی خوشگل. امید یه طلوعی بهتر برای مردم ایران.
لطف کنید این فیلم جنازه پسر منو پخش کنید از تلویزیون تا عمق جنایت رژیم جمهوری اسلامی برای همه مردم روشن بشه.
چه خطری داشت که با 5 تا گلوله کشتیمش.
دستاشو مشت جنبی.
تو این روزا خوابای عجیبی نمیبینی؟ من همش یه خوابی میبینم. خواب با بزرگم. یاد میگه نه حال میشه یه عکس از ما بگیری؟ بعد کراوات میزنه خیره میشه به دوربین. مام بزرگم رو سرشه ولی اصلا حواسش به دوربین نیست. انگار میدونه تاریکی عکس‌ها رو عوض میکنه.
to give Rome one simple message. This latest round of attempted school closings marks the end of your term in office.
When I started doing community organizing, at first I didn't feel comfortable with that because I was just like, I'm just a parent, right, who's angry about something. But then I realized, well, really that's what a community organizer is. This is a person who's angry about something and who wants to stand up and say something about it.
What do we want? When do we want?
But this was the moment for everyone individually that said, this is the moment for me that I have to stand up and do what's right. I was surprised to find out about myself that I'm okay with people seeing me as an angry Black woman. Like, it's okay if you hate me. Can you get it? Why don't you go to the bathroom and I'll pull out your clothes, okay?
What is next to Pennsylvania and what comes
Just south of Pennsylvania and Ohio is...
No! Maryland and West Virginia.
Okay, go get Maryland and West Virginia. We don't want to leave them out.
My husband and I got married in 2004, and we really fell in love with the school, which was National Teachers Academy. A couple months ago, we came out that we are level 1+ school, the highest score that CPS has to offer, and it is based primarily on the quality of the teaching at NTA across all levels for all the kids.
Delicious.
All right.
You guys ready to go?
Ready? But go ahead and put your shoes on. I sprayed them. Let me see. All right.
Where's my NTA button?
I have to get another one. Do you want a Black Students Matter button?
Yeah.
I felt the energy in the school. The way that the teachers interacted with the students, the way that they interacted with each other.
Good morning. Good morning. Where you going, MJ? Hey, Victor. We hold your hand. Come on, let's go. Okay, teacher will take you in. Come on. Let's go.
Yes. Yes. Okay, there'll be Noah's turn soon.
It's just me, everybody. It's just me. Hey, Belay, I'll take some high fives. Here they come, the NTA Congress. So today, it gives me great honor to share with you that this is our first major step in incorporating student voice, student ideas, and student leadership into everything that we do here at NTA. And so I'm just so excited about this day for that reason.
Because he got it.
really are. I don't want you guys to feel embarrassed or bad at all. You guys did a fantastic job, and I'm proud of you, all right? And we all are. I know that our boys aren't completely satisfied with the way that they perform right now, but I have to tell you, if anybody's fault, it's my fault. Because I asked the boys to perform and rehearse this song on very short notice with only a few weeks. So I think given the amount of practice that my boys had, I think they did a fantastic job. Don't you agree? It took a great amount of courage for them to try and try again and persist. And I know that they will continue to plan and persist, and sometime soon they will perform again and we will see them prevail even more than we did just now. Don't you think so?
Meantime, tonight, a proposal to convert an elementary school into a new high school is pitting parents against parents and parents against Chicago Public Schools. The school in question, the National Teachers Academy in the South Loop.
And Rob, tonight's meeting is a hot topic, converting this top-performing grade school into a high school. CPS officials say it'll be a gradual transition that will accommodate current students, but future families will have to look for other options.
It's just a low-down thing for us because we made the school a part of our community.
So the proposal is this: convert the building that you're currently sitting in, National Teachers Academy, from 840 elementary school students to about 1,000 students in a high school. The elementary school shuts down, but there is a larger elementary school at South Loop Elementary that would be constructed in order to accommodate more students. So the intentions of the proposal, as laid out by CPS, are that merging two school communities will create a stronger academic option for all students.
Ms. Sayers told me that you have earned a lunch with me today, and I'm glad to be spending some time with you, my friend.
And I got you a fruit.
You did?
For my favorite best friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Zarel. Now where'd you get this from? Did they know that you were taking this? They did? Okay.
And I have another one.
You have another one?
Surprise.
Oh, look at this guy. Oh man, this is
Superman.
And who's the other character there?
He's Superman in the future.
In the future? Like a robot?
Mm-hmm. Half robot, half man.
Got it. Next week is the last week of the quarter, my friend.
Huh?
Grades are going in on Friday.
Huh?
Yeah. So I want to see some top-notch grades.
I'm frozen in fear.
Oh no. Wow, what do you think your report card's gonna look like?
C, B, and A.
Okay. Well, how about this? On Monday, we'll look at your grades together so that on Monday, you have a set plan on what to do through the week. Well, hello, y'all.
Hi, y'all.
Come on in, y'all.
Well, yeah, it's okay.
You don't want to come in? Ya is one of those children who she consistently earns really good grades, but she has some anxiety that I'm trying to help her work through. Okay. Is that enough? What was that? Oh, is it? Okay. We'll see. Socially, she has challenges. She's very self-conscious. I've been working with her to try to build a sense of efficacy with her. Oh. I was so excited about being one step away. Hey, there he is. I worry that if this transition comes to pass, those children may have a principal or teachers who settle for just them graduating from high school, or just them coming to school, or just them being able to play Connect Four with classmates. Those things are good, but not sufficient.
Not really good at it.
Well, that's why you're practicing in small groups. It's okay. That's the whole point of practicing.
Okay, what's going on right here? You ready? 8th graders, let's go! How's that? Let me check this grocery. Okay. Why you in line? Oh, cause you're okay. Cause they got to get out. I don't care about y'all people. Cause once I run this. Let's go, seventh graders. That's my thing. You have to ask. Y'all can't just not go. That is my thing, okay? All right, y'all got to ask somebody. Don't just go, okay? Whether it's me, Miss Lord, but you got to talk so she can know what's happening, okay? All right? Good.
Our building at Long Grove, Audrey McDowell, she had a big write-up about NTA. And some parents were, the few that I spoke with in my building, was kind of a little dismayed, said, well, it's a done deal. I was like, no, it's not. It's not. So we need to keep reinforcing to parents, just because they read that it was Alderman McDowell, quote unquote, that is finished.
You know, anytime you see a parent that tell them, they say to fight off, tell them this battle is nowhere near over. You know, you still need to encourage them and say, hey, we need you to still come to the meeting. We need you to come here and support the school. We need to let that parent know, hey, this is not over with. Don't give up. Because I've had parents call me right now today and say, JP, they changing the school over. You know, the first thing I tell them, don't transfer your kid out. That's what I tell them. I said, if I ain't going nowhere, then you shouldn't go nowhere. So at the end, we're not going anywhere right now.
I've always been in love with the city of Chicago and the story of Chicago. Everything that Chicago has and celebrates today was born out of this neighborhood. There was over 90 mansions in this area. The aggregate wealth of Prairie Avenue, there was only one place in the country that could rival, and it was Fifth Avenue. When I moved to the South Loop in 2003, working as a real estate broker, I was so excited about all the development. Chicago, booming real estate, hip restaurants, exploding population. The South Loop, welcome to the hottest neighborhood in the country. You had a lot of young families coming in because of the townhome development. You had a lot of empty nesters coming in because of the proximity to all the cultural assets of the city. And you had lots of urban professionals that wanted easy access to downtown. So here's South Loop Rising. And then one of the stories, see, here I am, the activist. I don't really even see myself as an activist. I see myself more as a much larger than that. Kind of like more like Daniel Burnham in the sense of like mover of people, right? Big, bringing people together on a large scale and facilitating connection. I am the president of the Prairie District Neighborhood Alliance. We started to do these social activities to connect people. Nicole, will you help me? When you saw the volume of families coming to our events, we realized very quickly that education was key to the long-term development of this community. Otherwise, people would just move away. So where are they going to go to high school?
Every day is a beautiful day. Every day is a beautiful day.
CPS made it perfectly clear to the community. We cannot afford a new building. We're going to transition NTA into high school, and that was the only option that we had. How's it going? Did you do a pumpkin yet? A pumpkin? You can decorate pumpkin. No, I don't think we did. We want to decorate a pumpkin. Here. PDNA's position was to do what was best for our community so families would stay here, so the quality of life could be improved. A lot of people that had come together to say, this is needed desperately. And so, yes, you know, the organization, PDNA, decided that we had to ultimately, we were forced to take a stand.
Members of the PDNA, folks in the Prairie District Neighborhood Association, have been calling for a high school to be installed in the South Loop neighborhood for years and years and years.
And threats have been made to City Hall that if you do not build a high school here, we will leave Chicago. We will leave this neighborhood, and we are your base.
I feel like they haven't been to our school, so they shouldn't be speaking on a situation that they don't know anything about.
It's the fact of that they're turning like a minority black level 1+ school into a high school. And that's just saying, that's basically saying, I have this power, I can take what I want without anybody doing something, which really makes me mad because that's not the truth. It's like,
in their decision or power, they're taking that away without considering maybe what that means to you or to your families or to this community.
And they're not even thinking about all the stuff that NTA has to offer. Like, we got iPads, Chromebooks, we have a swim pool, we have a drama class, Spanish class, a lot of different stuff. The thought needs to be stuck in their head, like the NTA is a force to be reckoned with, and that we're not just a school, we're a community.
Tonight, you're going to a meeting that you're not invited to. So I think you have this really unique opportunity to have a student voice where you're representing not only yourselves, but your community, and you're also taking back power to the people it belongs to, which is people in this community, right? Because they haven't asked very many people in this community what they think should happen to this school, okay? So when we go in, Ms. Greer's gonna tell you a little bit about what's on the agenda and then what you guys think we should be messaging to the folks that are there.
The steering committee is a CPS committee that they put together to figure out the transition plan for NTA. We've had one meeting so far, and I sat there and I was mad the entire time. They asked me to be on it, essentially to try to figure out how to close our school. That's why they want me on the committee. So in advance of the second meeting, they sent me the agenda, and this is what made me start to think of, okay, how can we disrupt this?
So basically, you backstab.
Yes, I am. That's exactly right.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right, right. Clearly, this will be my last meeting because I don't think I'm going to get invited back anymore. Which is fine with me because this is a bogus process, right? And they're setting up this meeting as though this is happening, and they actually haven't even officially presented the proposal to the board.
We're going in to disrupt their meeting, so you take over the agenda. Let's kind of hammer this out a little bit, and then I think
has children or family at NTA? Raise your hand.
And understand what we saying and where we coming from, and then too, they need to change things.
Okay, so we have art therapy and counselor, we have teachers who support students, we have students. What about families who support?
I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be doing this. All right, everybody, ready? We're gonna quietly walk up the stairs and we're just going to enter into the room. And I'll take a seat and I'll let you all do the talking, okay? That was surprising for me to learn that about myself, that I could call people out in public and be okay, and also being okay with disrupting social spaces, because that's scary.
The agenda for transitioning isn't needed because NTA gives us the opportunities we need.
And the NTA is not just a school, it's a community. And you don't know what you're throwing in the trash.
Are you guys finished? But I think you're being misled. Nobody's gonna kick you out of the school.
And this is just a proposal here that we're doing for you all. But I want you all, excuse me, I want you all to know, we're not closing into NTA. The proposal says it's transitioning into a high school. And if you choose, you have an opportunity to stay in that building and go to high school. You all had nothing to do with this. But the protocol of this steering committee was disrespected tonight. And it was disrespected by a member. And I'm sorry for it.
Up until that point, I had never so flagrantly sort of raised a middle finger and said, you know, this whole thing is a sham.
We won't go. NTA, we won't go. NTA, we won't go.
Thank you.
NTA, we won't go. NTA, we won't go. NTA, we won't go. NTA, we won't go.
He said 8th graders, about the 8th graders getting graduated and all, but what about the 4th graders?
That's
what
what I
about the
said.
3rd graders, the 1st, the 2nd? It's not just about us. I know we're graduating, but it's their school too.
What about
It's not just
the
ours.
1st graders, 2nd graders, they still gotta
They still gotta graduate.
I'm very supportive of the youth. So please open your doors to me. I'm out. That's what I do. I love the kids. I always been involved with the children. Even with my own little committee, I may have 20 kids that I take to the park. That's what I just to keep kids occupied. So please, I may have 20 kids in my house, just in my house. That's what I do. So please,
I be wanting to put them out.
allow me to help you all or support you.
I'm the father of the house. I be wanting to put them out. I don't know what's wrong with them kids, man. This girl come in the house. Every time she come to the house, she got NTA in the house. I be like, oh, where they go sleep? They find a pillow to sleep on.
I make a way, and they love just being around me, just being in my house. I mean, I do what I do, but anything that I could support the kids with, that was do. So please involve me in that, especially during the summertime. Please do.
So I can carry on a little bit more.
I'm from the, as we call it, y'all call it the South Loop, we call it the low end. Lived down in Harold Ickes all my life. We had 12 buildings down there, one which NTA sits on. When NTA came up, our local LAC, which is Gloria Williams, that passed away, she said, you're not gonna never put that $2 million school in the back of these projects, and my kids ain't gonna go to it. When we first opened NTA, we started off rough, level 3 school, us picking up this wonderful principal, Amy Wrong, and we had to tell her, in order for the school to work, you got to get with the community. You got to open up the doors for the school, for the families to come in, for the parents to be able to come in and touch bases and see what resources we got.
Audrey helped us organize these community walks.
We walked through, introduce her, this the principal, woo woo, you know, when she come through here, y'all need to honor and respect her.
I think they started to trust that we were there because we were, wanted to be comrades and colleagues and be really solutions oriented.
So we built that relationship with them, and the school began to, you know, come on up.
Audrey forged the way there to really blur the distinctions between the school and the community. And there are pretty significant walls there.
The projects is not what people think they are. Everybody in the projects wasn't low income. My father was a janitor down in Ickes for like 36 years. My mom worked for the railroad and the post office, both. She got like 27 years in each one of them. I've seen a lot of tragedy down there. I've seen quite a few of my friends go down. So we had our problems, but I say our good days weigh out our bad days down in them projects. We've been hearing it way before years that eventually it was gonna go down. We had a lot of sad days doing them buildings tear down. You know, our kids was very emotional just every day looking at the school building, seeing, there go my room, the bulldozer just went through my room. Me and another family was one of the last residents to leave. It was hard for me to get up out of here. It was a struggle for me because I've been here all my life. What up, y'all? What up, baby dad? What up, baby? These all my sisters over here. The reunion has been going on for over 50 years. We're about to come together for a 3-day weekend and do us. So this was our names when we was younger, the Southside Playgirls. Right. Southside, you already know we're from the low end, 24th and State Street.
24th
That's
and
where
State.
Southside comes so silly. All 5 of my kids has graduated, except one now. Audrey is in 7th grade. My daughter, a few of the kids, that's gonna be the end of the Icky kids. That started from day one. Audrey class is gonna be the end of that.
I'm here representing the city of Chicago, the students, principals, parents, and teachers of Chicago. I guess the mayor had to step out when I came up, but it's cool because I'm here to talk to you guys right now.
I grew up on the south side of Chicago. There's just vast difference between the schools on the south side and the schools downtown and on the north side. Some of the nicer areas have better funding.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We partnered up with a bunch of different people and created this movement or call to action to fund CPS, especially schools that were experiencing the most budget cuts.
Yeah. Here, you guys hold it. There we go. I've been asking for money for over a year now to fund these classrooms, and they announced that they have $95 million, or that they're proposing to build a $95 million cop academy. But there's a lot of ways to transform the city that don't have anything to do with police training.
This money that was nowhere to be found for so long, but then when they needed $95 million to build a nice cop academy across the street from one of the high schools that we're raising money for, it's like that money comes together like this.
What is y'all doing? What is y'all doing? It doesn't make sense.
When I went to go testify about the police academy, the kids from NTA were there to testify as well, to keep their school open.
It's not okay for you to take away something that's made us a whole and taught us valuable lessons to give it to someone else who hasn't worked as hard as we have. And we feel...
You got it, Murray.
Our kids were so powerful to the point they escorted us out. We had to go.
It wasn't like they seemed angry, they seemed like focused, organized, militant. It kind of made me feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, because like just feeling associated to it isn't enough.
Chan chased up behind us. Oh, hey, who are y'all? Who are y'all? He said, y'all just killed them in there. You know, y'all just killed them in there. That's what I'm talking about. He took pictures with the kids down to City Hall. He like, take my number.
And we connected, and we had planned on meeting later in the school year to you know, kind of figure things out.
I know I found one. How you gonna tell me how tall I am? How you gonna rearrange my head? I'm like, you might be like 5'3". Let's come sit down and I can tell an embarrassing story. So, first grade, I've entered NTA. I'm a little shy, but then like I broke out of my shell, right? Y'all wanna know my first crush? He's sitting in this room. Messiah. It was weird. I used to know how to spell his name. Like, okay, so he used to sit next to me. We was at the first table. I remember this. It was this table at the beginning of the class, and he sat like right there, and I sat like right there. And it's like our names was on a chart right at the wall, and I used to know how to spell his name from that chart. I used to know how to spell his first and last name.
That's some creepy stuff.
Yeah, I liked him, but he ain't like me back.
You learned all of that in your first year?
Yep.
I was focused on school. Let me put it like that. What was that? I was focused on school.
Took you a couple of years.
I should've just had you drive me, Mama, cause you up.
Said what?
Huh?
Have me drive you.
What you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
I've raised a whole lot of grandchildren.
in this house. Taylor has a good drive for school. She likes it. She does well. She tell you her opinion, whether you agreed all the time or not. She's gonna petition, she's gonna boycott, and she's gonna talk to the people in authority. Somebody called, said Taylor's on TV. So when I turned it on, I heard her speak. I was impressed. She did very well.
Oh, if I take the 7:54 bus, I will get to school by 8:14, so I'm cool.
You won't be late? Okay. She's a lot like her mother. She looks a lot like her mother, and she acts like her mother. Olivia had a drive. She's always progressive. She wants to do. The day after Taylor was born, I talked to her mother that morning. She was so excited about Taylor, and she thought she was so beautiful. She said, please come to the hospital. Okay. I said goodbye, and I told her, take care of yourself, girl, get some rest. I love you. She said, okay, Ma, I'll look for you. I said, okay. That was the end of our conversation. Before I could get to the hospital, Taylor's mother passed. They stood her up, her first time of standing up, and the blood clot broke her loose from the leg and went to the heart. The nurse said to me, when I got there, they were crying too. But it was quick, and she was gone. And looking at Taylor without a mother was really sad. I replaced her only because I'm the grandmother. I could never replace her mother. She would be the same if her mother was living.
Well, bye, Mom. Okay. It's just like, you know how, like, I feel like people are puzzles. A piece of my puzzle is missing.
Put that on the table, on top of that calculus book over there.
What does the table signify?
The table signify I know where they're going.
Fluid and dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay, see. Amorphous polymers and non-Newtonian fluids.
Keep that. That's a keeper.
That's a keeper. Sounds like a page turner. Both of my parents are educators. I don't think that's why I became a college professor, even though both my parents are college professors. Differential equation.
Hold on. What is
Ellie,
this?
you can't complain about me keeping things.
I'm sorry.
That's not fair.
I have stuff I have given away. This is out.
Okay.
My dad is from the South, and he's in his 70s. And so when I told him about what's going on here, he just started laughing. This is like the exact same thing that I knew growing up in the Jim Crow South.
Oh, Melvin, you had this at Morehouse in '61.
I did?
Oh my God. For those of us who come from traditions of HBCUs,
Morehouse College, 1961.
my husband went to Morehouse, so did my father and my grandfather. Look, you got somebody's phone number.
I wonder if they're still there.
There was this very ugly undercurrent in this whole conversation that an all-Black classroom cannot be smart. It is not an educationally viable classroom. It can only be good if it's integrated. That personally bothers me because now you're talking about my family history, right? And there are many parents who either went to HBCUs themselves or family members. It's like, you're saying that we're not good enough. We're not smart.
All right. I'm actually just going to give you a multiplication problem. All right, ready? Here we go. No talking now. Once I give you go ahead, you can erase. All right, erase. Good job. This makes me happy.
All right, so I want everybody to go ahead and think about that one line or phrase from the text that stood out to you the most. And we're gonna do a quick poetic whip around. We've done it before, and just go around the table and everyone's gonna share their word. Okay, ready?
Slavery still alive, check Amendment 13.
Black bodies being lost in the American dream.
Sweet land of liberty, incarcerated country.
Forgive them, Father, they know this not is undone. Prison is a business, America's the company.
All right, so let's take a moment and look at these lyrics. What is the connection between these lyrics and the 13th Amendment? What's the connection there? Take a moment to think about it and gather your evidence.
I feel like when it's saying slavery still alive, check Amendment 13, it's kind of referring to the fact that due to mass incarceration of blacks, it's sort of connecting to back in the day to where slavery was still alive. The 13th Amendment isn't really freeing us. They're still using its loophole to continue with the acts of slavery.
We heard a lot in 2013 on the news about failing schools and failing schools. So we are
not failing.
We are like an A+. We are level 1+. Like how, what else can we do? We're doing everything that we've been asked to do.
This is my neighborhood school. When I sent my kid here, I live in a condo that's between 18th and 19th, and between Clark and State. There are 250 homes. 250 homes with lots of kids. My kid was the first one in my neighborhood to come to this school. So there are a lot of people at South Loop Elementary School who won't come to this school. And I kept saying, why? Like, why? I don't understand. You're not sending your kid there with those kids, are you? I'm like, what kids? I don't understand. Like, So to me, this whole thing is about race, 100%. That school is overcrowded because people were afraid to send their kids here, and nobody wants to say it. And now it's not enough that they're overcrowded because they wouldn't send their kids here. They're going to take our building for their kids to have a high school. It is unfair.
When our daughter was kindergarten age, there wasn't a good public school that was within our boundary. The South Loop Elementary School was probably in the bottom 5% if you looked at metrics in 2003. I mean, it was really terrible. So at the time, Arnie Duncan was the chief executive of the Chicago Public Schools. And the relationship really developed because he personally recruited our family. And so our daughter actually enrolled in the first gifted kindergarten class at South Loop Elementary. When we started there, the school was 97, 98% African American, maybe 99% African American. By the second or third year, and once we got buy-in from the neighborhood, the character of the school definitely changed. And once we were able to institute kind of proper decorum and behavior and really expectations, the children took to it. By the time my daughter left after the 7th grade, we had become a school of choice, but we could also see the neighborhood was developing such that we would need to start having a place for those graduating students to go to high school. Arnie Duncan went to become Obama's education secretary, and Ron Huberman was appointed by Mayor Daley to become the new CEO of CPS. I had political connections, and so we were able to get meetings with Mr. Huberman and talk directly about the high school option. Ron was very receptive, and we pitched, at the time, the National Teachers Academy. You have all this excess capacity at NTA. You have tremendous overcrowding and loss of resource rooms at South Loop Elementary. Why don't you combine the two areas into one K through 12? You could give families that got into kindergarten knowing that they would be in the area all the way through high school graduation. There were a certain amount of parents that were very concerned about the neighborhood of NTA, basically because they'd never been over there. There was a liquor store nearby. It wasn't seen as the greatest place. There was kind of a rush to quell those concerns by talking about having a separate entrance, not really being integrated.
The proposal included every measure that they could take where their kids would not be at all mixed or merged with the NTA students. Separate entry time, separate dismissal time, separate main office, separate lunch and, eating situations. They wanted their kids not to go to music or art or recess or gym or anything with the kids from NTA.
This ain't segregation. We ain't doing that. You all can come in here. We are welcome you right on in. Your whole school that's building hold 1,100 kids. Come on in.
I don't think it was ever racial because South Loop Elementary's always been a majority minority student population, but it was more economic and classist.
The families in South Loop were calling themselves things like pioneers in terms of coming there, which to me is disgusting. It's such disregard for the people who had been there before. So I think it was dehumanizing and disgraceful.
So the end result was, let's give up on this plan. South Loop didn't solve its overcrowding problem. They didn't get the classrooms at NTA, and Ron Huberman leaves, Mayor Daley leaves, and now Mayor Emanuel comes in with all new executives. And so you start the process all over again. I've learned that gentrification or development in an area creates tension. And certainly through the Prairie District Neighborhood Alliance, we're exposed to a lot of that tension. I've been fighting this battle for over a decade. There's no question that a high school is needed for this area.
Funding quality education for public students is the most important investment a community can make.
After meeting us, Chance the Rapper said he would find a way to help us. He went on social media and he posted about NTA and stuff.
We had planned on coming up to the school to kind of lift spirits and work with the students.
I mean, that whole day, the kids, Miss Audrey, what's the surprise? Woo, woo. They see GCI come set up, they ready. I mean, I got my kids on 10. Ready.
So you guys got the news that the event is canceled, right?
You say what happened?
The event is not happening.
I just wanted to go by there, and CPS barred me from going there. I was just like, damn, y'all don't want, I'm not allowed to go on the property? They're like, no, you cannot step foot on the property of that school. I've been spending the year visiting schools and even being asked by CPS to visit certain schools. For them to tell me that this one school that's actually in danger of being another shut down public school displacing black kids in the city made me feel like a lot of some of the stuff that maybe they were asking me to do was more for symbolism rather than actual action.
My network chief told me really clearly over the phone that I needed to shut down the event, shut down the visit, or I'd be fired. I tried to reason with him about why Chance coming to NTA was special and why, as the principal, that was a decision that I was not comfortable making. And he said, you can either cancel the event or you can be fired. And he asked me what I was gonna do. He said, so what is it gonna be? And I wasn't able to make a decision in that moment, so we just sat there on the phone for a few seconds before he finally decided to end the phone call, and he said, you've told me all I need to hear, Isaac. Goodbye.
Why is it so hard for him to come here and he could go to any other school and there ain't no problem? Then they send our principal down there to a meeting, and I'm just hoping he's not in trouble. I don't know. I'm too upset to even keep talking, y'all.
Within then about a half hour, I got an email from someone high up in CPS requiring me to go to a meeting downtown. Saw in the meeting room the CEO, Janice Jackson, and the Director of Employee Engagement. And on that particular day, I had a Black Students Matter shirt on. So she looked at the shirt and she said, you know, we've given you a lot of chances. We've been really patient with you. Everyone that we've talked to about you has said that you're a really great principal, you're a great person. But at this point, it's really hard for me to believe that you're not coordinating and collaborating with your parents to fight against this school action. And she pointed to my shirt and she said, I mean, right now, you're wearing a shirt that is from an organization that is obviously anti-CPS. And I was taken aback a little bit by that statement because I don't see the shirt as an opposition to Chicago Public Schools. I see it as something that Chicago Public Schools ought to clearly advocate for and support.
NTA is a level 1+ school. When has ever in the history of CPS have they tried to close a 1+ school in Chicago? Never!
What they were experiencing and what we were all witnessing together was a movement of parents devoted to saving their school. And Dr. Jackson said, yeah, but you can't be part of that movement. I said, I'm not part of that movement. I'm part of the NTA community, but I'm not the one leading parents in their efforts to try and save the school. Dr. Jackson and the lawyer there asked me to put my official statement in writing in response to the allegations that I was coordinating and orchestrating the parent opposition to the plan, which I did.
We made an agreement before we did this action that today we're not getting arrested.
I still have not yet heard from CPS.
Today, we get out the street voluntarily. In a minute, you're going to have to be like, we ain't getting out the street.
Oh, he ain't right out the street!
You got to take your mind out of we don't have power and realize the power you have.
You got to make sure that the learning you're doing shows up in your grade. It's in your head, it's in your brain. It needs to go on your paper and on your tests and in your homework. To be successful in an environment where you're teaching a group of students who look different from you and whose culture is different from your own, you must listen, you must study, you must pay attention to the culture around you. My first year as principal here at NTA, school year 2013, NTA was designated as a welcoming school, which means that we became a school that students from a closed school would attend. And so when the students came to NTA, it was an uneasy process because although I and the staff here were welcoming the children and wanted them here, there was still apprehension.
Isaac had it rough.
It was rough.
He had a hard year.
People didn't necessarily trust him as a leader, and it ended up being more chaotic and chaos.
There were some mistakes where like kids were hurt and like things did not go well.
We had a major fight that happened outside the school, and my solution was to buy all the kids pizza the next day and have a big circle and talk about what had occurred. And that couldn't have been further from the right solution because the message that kids got from that was, if we fight, we get pizza.
People, I think, gave him the benefit of the doubt for a while, and then people started saying, we don't think you should stay, and that was really hard for him.
They needed someone who would step up in times of crisis, and too often I failed to do that. I shrunk from the crisis rather than rise up to it.
I don't think it's fair at all for anybody to only get one shot at something. I said he deserves another year to get it right.
In my case, it required me to be very aware of how my race, immediately, as soon as students walk into the classroom, are impacted by that. By me being a white male, there's immediately a barrier there between me and them because of their perception of whites, of white males, perhaps of what they think I think of them. And so one of the ways that I think got past that with my children was by making sure that they understood that I had very high expectations for them and I was going to help them meet those expectations.
If you're really close friends with someone and you like to hang out with them, you wouldn't forget to include them.
Not necessarily.
So usually I sit on the...
Not necessarily. Do you believe me?
I'm just the type of person who doesn't want to ask to be included. I just want people to include me.
Yes, of course. Everyone wants to be loved and popular and, where's Ya? We've got to have Ya in our group.
No, I'm not saying I want popular.
But you want people to want you around, right?
Right, I don't want to be, I don't like to be excluded.
Okay.
Like,
but
it's hard for me to come out my shell.
Well, that's what I'm going back to is I want you to work on finding your voice.
I'm just afraid that someone might hurt my feelings or like they won't like me or something like that because I know I have trust issues. I don't trust everybody. Like,
Here's the next thing I want you to start thinking about, okay?
okay.
I want you to start thinking about how to advocate for yourself with friends. Being a little bit more vocal. When you see, I know it's hard, just like asking questions was hard, but when your friends are planning something that you're interested in, you can say, hey guys, what are you talking about? But listen, but do that, okay? With your friends, when they plan a trip or they do something else and you're not included, you're assuming that it's because they don't want to talk to you or they're trying to leave you out, and they're not exactly.
I'm not trying to leave me out, just forgetting about me.
That may be, but my advice to you is when you use your voice more, when you make sure that your friends see you, hear from you, know that you're interested in them, that will make a difference. Because if you don't advocate for yourself, sometimes no one else will. There won't be a Castellaz around or a teacher around or your parents around to do it. You're gonna have to advocate for yourself.
I don't know. I trust that you're going to believe me and that you're less likely to judge me.
And you still have left out all of Canaryville. You have left us to the wolves, basically, at this point, because our only school option is Tilden, a level 2, gang-infested school that is in need of intensive CPS support.
I've seen firsthand students come from hardworking, tax-paying families and can't afford a private education. The only option in Bridgeport and Canaryville is to attend a neighborhood high school that has a long history of underperformance and violence. The children in these communities deserve a quality education. Therefore, I'm asking that CPS reconsider the boundaries to include all of the Bridgeport and Canaryville communities.
Hi there, my name is Nita Barr, and today I'm going to talk to you about the word dog whistle. A dog whistle is when we talk about race without ever using the word race. A speaker spoke about families in his neighborhood are good, tax-paying families who deserve access to this new high school. Well, who's not good? Who's not tax-paying? That makes me think of my status as an immigrant in this country, and who is taxed and who is not allowed to be taxed. And then earlier, there was a retired teacher from Holden who spoke about very good family values and why students from Holden should be taken because they add value to the new high school. That's a really fascinating context because, again, that school does not have a large population of Black students. That assumes that you can't have a high-quality school if you have too many Black students. And the good news is we have a case that demonstrates that that is just absolutely not true. And that case, ladies and gentlemen, is National Teachers Academy.
It's not great to have people get up and call you a racist at community meetings.
We became the, evildoer. It certainly was never about power or racism for us. Certainly not for me.
I didn't appreciate the racist tone that they took in their arguments because I don't think that was valid, but I understood where they were coming from.
We didn't want to be, have, NTA against South Loop or PDNA against NTA families. That was never, ever the intention. The last thing we wanted to do was steal a school from somebody. If you merge the two schools together, they're all going to have a great elementary school. And we would have a neighborhood high school. There is a lot of disparity, that it doesn't seem fair, that some schools get closed, others don't. I had to ask myself the question of, should I be speaking out for the larger issue, which is a citywide issue of disparity in education? And this was not an easy question for me to answer. But in the end, what I felt is that my role was really to advocate for my community.
I believe some of the presenters have accused us, the board and CPS management, of fostering racism. This decision somehow disadvantages Black and brown kids. Why do people think that we're closing NTA when in fact we're converting it?
I was just going to say, I think what we've heard from community members is that they would like NTA to remain in its current state. So any change to that is viewed as a closing or a loss for the community, which we have heard and obviously have to respond to. The school is a wonderful community and we agree with that. And I think that the students who attend this school for elementary school will continue to get a high quality education in the elementary school, and they will also be able to attend this school for high school. And I think that that is a strong plan and a plan that we stand by.
We will not let them take us down. We will fight for our school. We will fight for the children, not just NTA kids, our city. We will not let politics take us down. All our kids need help, support. They need to be back in school. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm in my feelings, y'all.
It's okay.
I'm in my feelings.
You're all right, Andre.
Every time I talk about the kids, I'm in my feelings.
Yes.
As of yesterday, it'll be 13 kids I'm gonna go to a funeral. Yesterday, I seen the boy lay dead in front of my building. 56 in Michigan.
Talk about it. Yes, ma'am.
Young lady walking past and got shot right with him. Lucky she didn't die, but the young man did. Why? They don't have nothing to do. School saves kids.
That's right.
We got to love the kids, whether they're yours or not. We got to love the kids.
Takes a village. Takes a village.
NTA is here to stay. NTA is here to stay.
If you could keep the sign down, because this is about a family that lost their son, okay? And then you can do all your stuff, but they've been waiting to say, okay, we really, you guys being respectful while they talk. Thank you.
My name is Miracle Boy. I'm a sophomore from John Hope College Prep, and we are here today we're demanding that CPS stop the vote on the phase out. CPS plans to close NTA, John Hope, Harper, Robeson, and Team Inglewood. So we're here today and we demand that our mayor stop inconvening us and our teachers, our parents, and everybody else. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. Hey, hey. Go home. Roman Daniels got to go. Hey, hey. Go home. Roman Daniels got to go. Hey, hey. Go home. Roman Daniels got to go. Hey, hey.
Go home. Officer Son, we moved upstairs, but we can hear you. Can you give us 5 minutes?
Will you open our school?
But you guys, there's a family that lost their son by a drunken police officer.
I
No, I understand. But can you give us 5 minutes? I know, I understand. But can you give us just 5 minutes of quiet while they do their news conference? Now y'all give it out. Because they've been waiting all day. And then you can you do it for us 5 minutes? And then they'll be done. Because we're hearing all the noise upstairs.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? In the school!
Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote with the noted abstention.
The vote now has been secured. The Board of Education approved the NTA high school proposal.
Yeah.
There were a lot of long faces.
Some of the kids had tears in their eyes. Some of the kids even asked me, Mrs. Brooks, do we come to school tomorrow? Does this mean that we don't have school tomorrow? So trying to get them to realize it's not over. You do have school, and it's okay. Your school is here.
Even though this decision has now been made, regardless of what the Board of Education has decided, we still believe in our children.
It looks like he knows what he's doing. And it's all neat and boutique, and it's in order. And it's like, hey, I got this. Remember, you are loved.
Today has been a long time coming. When we at NTA first discovered CPS's plans to close our beloved school, we immediately reached out and sought legal counsel. We are a school that should be modeled throughout CPS. And today, as we celebrate our graduating 8th graders, we are so proud of the leadership they have shown.
Many of you in this room and many of our children on this stage have advocated deeply, publicly, emphatically, to save our school. You see, we love our school, don't we? We love each other. We love everything that we built here together.
We have protested at board meetings, and we have protested in the streets. Today, we are protesting by filing a lawsuit.
A coalition of lawyers have filed an injunction today to stop the closure of National Teachers Academy.
Starting today, we will be ignored no longer.
Honor student Taylor Wallace.
Honor student Messiah Armstrong.
I know that graduating from NTA has given us all on this stage a huge passport for the future. And I know that we are ready for everything the futures hold. Dream, believe, and achieve. We are the class of 2018. So proud of you. Thank you.
Shall 300 miles to be here.
We shaking. We shake. How about a hug?
Shake up.
We are suing for two main reasons. Number one, we are suing that it is a violation of our civil rights because you are burdening a protected class, African Americans. We are being put at a disadvantage. And the second piece is that we are suing because the CPS has been in violation of the Illinois School Code, a set of instructions for how you do a school action. And there are many different steps that you are supposed to take before you take action upon a school. And CPS, basically, they violated it in 5 different ways, which is basically they violated the whole code.
Would this be happening if it was a majority white school? And that sits and cuts right into the racialized history of this city and what communities have felt time and time again.
In 2013, when they closed all the schools, many, many people sued, and none of them were successful. The legal system was always able to fall back on the school's underutilized, or the school was underperforming. Here's the thing, none of the lawsuits, none of the schools, none of the situations were the same as ours.
The cumulative effect of everything that, I've experienced as principal, but most importantly, this community has experienced, I think takes its toll after a while. If CPS knew that I was being interviewed by you and participating in your documentation of the fight to save NTA, I would definitely be fired. I have no doubt about it.
Why are you letting us hear?
Yeah, because education, as I said in one of our early interviews, is something that I think can be the great equalizer in our country. And so if someone can take something from this experience, or from my experience as a principal, or from our children, or others who fought to keep NTA open, then I think it's a risk well taken.
Those are all the things you said it takes to work well with another person. Look at the one that you think is most important to you and your teammate. Talk to the person that you're working with and tell them which word you selected and why, and then begin your work.
Mr. C,
Yes?
I'm gonna need some help on this one.
You're gonna have to find some help from a friend. You got Jay-Z there, you got Brandon there.
Do you guys think this looks good? This one is.
You asking for help? Yeah?
Kind of.
You said you were gonna need some help. Who helped you?
Sort of.
Who helped you?
Jaden told me it looked good.
All right, anything?
I don't know
Did you ask for help?
I don't know how to put this piece in. Wait.
All right, there you go, Jaden. There's your cue, buddy.
Okay. Because right here, because it goes in this part, but this one is blocking it.
You look at the web there of working well with others. What quality did you show, and what quality did Jaden show?
I think I showed courage.
Okay, good.
I showed courage because I asked Jaden for help instead of being afraid to ask him. And Jaden showed, showed understanding because he understood like what I was going through.
All right, good. Good, that's right.
I think it's hard when people who don't know you talk bad about you. The things that they are saying about you are based either on their own racism or on lies. So many ugly things have been said about us, about our children, about our color, about our ability to learn. And then when that narrative gets elevated to a citywide level and then becomes a structural issue as a reason why they should shut you down, then it becomes personal, because now you're talking about my kids.
That is on my chin.
That's where the pain comes in. If we lose this, I don't know if I have it in me to keep going. We keep putting forth these valiant efforts, and we keep losing.
Bye, Noah. Love you. Have a good day. Thank you.
I made sure to get to the courtroom before anybody else. I wanted to get there as early as I could so that I could just be alone a little bit with my thoughts. There was this terrible sense of uncertainty.
We go in there, the judge finally comes in, so it's dead silent, and it's packed.
As it pertained to city law, he ruled that there had been no violation. And when he said that to us, you know, my heart, which had been pounding, now sank.
You know, it was so devastating in that moment to think that we tried, but we failed again. And then he said, however, in the case of the Illinois Civil Rights Code, you know, I do find that it has merit and that it will stand.
and therefore the court rules to grant the injunction.
You too.
Oh my God. I wasn't gonna cry. I wasn't gonna cry.
Today at 3:25, the judge granted our.
Did you tell her?
I did.
Okay.
Congratulations.
We would not have won if it were not for Candace. She was the one who wrote that fifth claim, the civil rights violation, and that was the claim that did not get thrown out, and is the reason why we got our injunction.
Do you feel like they should just drop it? And I mean, yes, it certainly seems like a prime time to do it, but that is something that they'll have to decide.
This is not the end, right? So they wanted it to be very clear to us that this is not the end, that we still have a lot more to go. We got a long road ahead. But we were all sort of given permission to enjoy the moment.
I'm in shock. Because you can't go 20 months with people telling you you're full of shit and there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden they finally say like, yeah, you were right.
Well, CPS might file some sort of an appeal to the injunction or something like that.
They will. But we're ready for it.
They will?
Yeah, they likely will. They have to. To save face.
He's a reporter for the Tribune.
Families, we have an important announcement to make. Juan Perez Jr. of the Chicago Tribune is reporting that Chicago Public Schools is abandoning its plan to turn NTA into a high school. Eric